This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Dan Stockemer, a former financial specialist and owner and operator of Prairie Hill Vineyard, talked to us today about how he fulfilled a promise to his late wife and how the business continues to grow, prosper, and give back.
Well, interestingly enough, as I was saying, I was in the securities business. I did a bond issue for Friends University at the time, building a building for a residential it was a place for people to live adjoining the university there. And they had a degree completion program, so I learned everything about the university. And we did, I think, a $5 million bond issue. And so I went back to the university for a little over a year and completed. I had a number of different college courses I had taken through the years. And I ended up getting a degree in human resources management, which was just a good degree to have doing what I do, which is generally working with people. So what happened in the course of that time, that went on into the securities business, I certainly still enjoyed being on the farm. And what happened when I came home to Kansas, I started working on making the property beautiful. And what really started the vineyard was my wife, Mary, at the time, didn't really want to move to Kansas. She wanted to stay in Sonoma County, which is gorgeous out there. It's really beautiful. It has hundreds of wineries, and they're all lovely. And so I basically told her, I said, honey, I promise I'll plant a vineyard when I get back to Kansas, and we'll make it look like Sonoma County. So I did, and we started planting grapes about 2002, and ever since then we've been either working with grapes, replanting grapes, but then we've added all kinds of bushes and trees, additional buildings, and I've put in various different lots of rocks, over, I guess, 350, 400 tons of beautiful limestone that I've taken out of the Flint Hills and placed in here. And we have made it into a spot now that instead of cows coming out of it in the morning, we can have weddings on the weekends or corporate events during the week. And the last couple of years we've been doing that. This last year was the first full-time year, and this year we're completely booked with weddings from April through October. And so we find ourselves now in the enviable position, in my opinion, of having to host all these lovely, wonderful couples that are having the most wonderful day of their life. We get to have them out here and be a part of their celebration.
Now let's talk about the knowledge of the vines and the grapes. Some of that you picked up in when you were living in California, but does that just come from experience and trial and error?
Well, that's a good question. Viticulture is a whole other learning curve like any other form of agriculture. And so I lived on a vineyard out there for 4 years. I lived in town, some of the in front of what is today Coppola's winery out in Alexander Valley. Was at that time Chateau Souverain. I got to know the winemaker, and we helped pick grapes after their main harvest. It was called second harvest, and make wine. So I learned a lot just living in the middle of wine country. They'd have a grange there. We'd go down and have dinner with the local farmers, and most all the farmers were grape growers or fruit growers because that climate is so conducive for that. And so I ended up learning about it, living there. And when I came back, I joined the Kansas Grape Growers Association, and I learned a huge amount by just working with the grape growers here in Kansas on the varietals that work well here in Kansas. Learned it also just by putting them in the ground and seeing how they work.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well on their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're We're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we're glad to answer it and work with you.